Have you ever felt invisible? Like you're just a background character in someone else's story? Let me tell you about Emma. She was the kind of girl you'd easily miss in a crowded room, not because she wasn't there, but because she simply didn't try to be seen. Every morning at Brookstone High, she'd walk with her head slightly down, books clutched to her chest like a shield. Her uniform was always perfect, her hair neatly tied back. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just wanted to get through the day in peace. In class, Emma's safe space was the corner desk by the window. While others passed notes and whispered secrets, she found her world in the dancing trees and the changing sky. She was a brilliant student, but she never boasted. Attention wasn't her goal. Understanding was. Some kids thought she was strange, maybe even proud. But the truth was much simpler. Emma was shy. She found comfort in the silence that others filled with noise. She'd learned the hard way that silence couldn't be twisted or used against you. At lunchtime, you'd find her under a big oak tree, alone with a book. Sometimes, watching other students laugh together, a small ache would find its way to her heart. It wasn't that she didn't want friends. It's that she didn't know how to make them anymore. In her old school, she had tried. She'd opened up only to have her trust betrayed and her kindness met with ridicule. So she built walls, believing it was safer to be quiet and alone. Her teachers saw her gentle, hard-working spirit, but to her classmates she was mostly invisible. That invisibility was both her comfort and her curse. At home, life wasn't much different. It was just Emma and her mom who worked long hours at a diner. Emma learned to be self-sufficient, cooking, cleaning, and never complaining. Her mother would often say, "You're stronger than you think, sweetheart." Emma held on to those words even if she didn't fully believe them. Her true voice lived in the pages of a secret diary, filled with dreams of traveling, painting, and finding a friend who truly understood. It was also where she confessed her fears, of being hurt again, of never truly belonging. Despite her quiet exterior, Emma had a fire inside her. She had a powerful sense of right and wrong and believed everyone deserved kindness. She didn't fight with loud words or fists. She fought with patience, dignity, and an unshakable inner strength. One afternoon, as she was reading under her oak tree, a paper airplane landed beside her. She looked up to see Jake, the school's most notorious troublemaker, grinning at her with his friends. To him, her calm wasn't peaceful. It was a challenge. He couldn't stand that she never reacted, that she seemed so unshakable. Emma sighed and went back to her book, a master of ignoring trouble. But she didn't know that this moment was the beginning of everything changing. Jake was determined to break her silence, to get a reaction. Any reaction. Emma's quiet, predictable world was about to collide with Jake's loud, chaotic one. Everything she had learned about strength, patience, and dignity was about to be put to the ultimate test. What happens when the quietest girl in school is targeted by the loudest boy? Today we're diving into a story that I think a lot of us can relate to, whether we've seen it happen or experienced it ourselves. It's about a boy named Jake. Jake was that kid. You know the one. The moment he walked into a room, everyone noticed. He had this loud laugh, a super confident walk, and a mischievous grin that was his signature move. Teachers would literally sigh when he came into class because, well, trouble wasn't usually far behind. But Jake wasn't a bad kid deep down. He had built this tough guy persona to cover up his own insecurities. See, at home, things weren't great. His parents were always fighting and his dad was constantly putting him down, comparing him to other kids and telling him he'd never be good enough. So Jake learned to hide his pain behind jokes and, unfortunately, bullying. It was his way of feeling powerful when everything else in his life made him feel powerless. At school, Jake was the leader of his crew. They looked up to him, laughed at his jokes, even the cruel ones. He decided who was cool and who wasn't. And honestly, Jake liked the attention. It made him feel seen, even if it was for all the wrong reasons. He just wanted to feel like he mattered. Then there was Emma. She was the quiet girl who always sat alone under the big oak tree during lunch, completely lost in a book. For some reason, she became Jake's next target. Her calmness just got under his skin. While everyone else was trying so hard to fit in, she seemed perfectly content on her own. Her quiet confidence made him feel small, and he couldn't stand it. One day he smirked at his friends. "Watch this," he said. "I'll make the quiet mouse talk today." They all laughed, eager for the show. Jake swaggered over to Emma, bouncing his basketball. The sound of gravel crunching under his sneakers made her look up for a second, but then she went right back to her book. That just made him angrier. "Hey, bookworm," he said loudly. "Don't you ever get tired of being so boring?" Emma didn't respond. Her eyes just kept moving across the page. Jake pushed harder. "What? Too good to talk to us now?" he mocked, and his friends laughed, egging him on. Finally, Emma slowly closed her book and looked up. Her calm brown eyes met his. "Please leave me alone," she said. Her voice was soft, but it was steady. Not scared, not angry, just firm. Jake was thrown off. He expected her to cry or yell. That simple sentence, spoken so calmly, felt like a challenge. He felt his immaturity being reflected back at him, and he hated it, so he leaned in and knocked her book right out of her hands. It landed in the dirt, the pages bending. His friends roared with laughter. Emma just looked down at it, then quietly bent to pick it up. There was no anger in her eyes, just a deep sadness. And that somehow made Jake feel even worse. But his pride wouldn't let him back down. He had to be in control. "Come on, say something," he sneered, nudging her shoulder. "You think you're better than everyone, huh?" Emma stood up straight. She was shorter than him, but she didn't shrink away. She met his gaze and said, "No, I just don't hurt people for fun." The laughter from his friend started to die down. For a split second, something twisted in Jake's chest. It was guilt, but before he could even process it, he reacted on impulse. He shoved her harder than he meant to. She stumbled back and hit the tree trunk, and then, complete silence. Even his friends froze. The world just seemed to stop for 10 long seconds. Emma didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just looked at him, her eyes filled with this quiet, heavy disappointment. That look said more than words ever could. In those 10 seconds, Jake's bravado shattered. He suddenly realized the whole courtyard was watching. A few kids even had their phones out recording. And standing not far away was Mrs. Patterson, the school counselor, her face a mask of shock. "Jake!" she shouted, rushing over. "What on earth do you think you're doing?" His heart sank. His so-called friends instantly backed away, abandoning him. Mrs. Patterson grabbed his arm. "Principal's office, now." As they walked away, Jake could feel every single pair of eyes on him. The whispers followed him like a dark cloud. For the first time, he didn't feel powerful. He felt completely exposed. In just a few seconds, the tough image he'd worked so hard to build was destroyed. He glanced back one last time. Emma was still under the tree, hugging her book. She didn't look angry or afraid, just disappointed. And that look was something that would haunt him for a very, very long time. Have you ever witnessed a moment where time just seemed to stop? 1 second, the schoolyard was full of laughter and noise. The next, it was dead silent. That's what happened the day Jake pushed Emma. In that frozen instant, everything vanished. The chatter, the distant shouts, all of it. Emma stood there, her hand braced against a tree, her favorite book lying on the ground like a broken wing. For 10 seconds, nobody moved. Jake's heart hammered against his ribs. He just wanted to make his friends laugh. A harmless shove, he thought. But the look on Emma's face, the fear in the eyes of everyone watching, it twisted something inside him. He wanted to speak, to say sorry, but the words wouldn't come. That silence was deafening. It was the kind of quiet that forces you to look at yourself. Then slowly, Emma straightened up. She dusted off her skirt, picked up her book, and met his eyes. There were no tears, no anger, just a quiet, unbreakable strength. In her calm gaze, Jake felt himself shrink. Her silence screamed louder than any words could. "You can't hurt me. You're only hurting yourself." Those 10 seconds changed everything. Whispers erupted. Did he just push her? Someone pulled out a phone and started recording. Then footsteps. Mrs. Patterson, the school counselor, appeared. Jake Thompson, what do you think you're doing? The crowd scattered. Jake stumbled back, pale. It was just a joke, he managed to say. A joke? She repeated, her voice shaking. Do you think hurting someone is funny? Emma, holding her book tight, said nothing. Her silence was his loudest accuser. Mrs. Patterson put a hand on Emma's shoulder. Are you all right, dear? Emma just nodded. I'm fine. But she wasn't. The stares, the whispers, the phones. It felt like being trapped under a spotlight. Still, she remembered her mother's words. In every storm, don't let them see you break. So she didn't. You're coming with me, Mrs. Patterson told Jake. His friends were gone. As he walked toward the principal's office, each step felt heavier than the last. Behind him, Emma picked up a torn page from her book and walked away, a single tear finally escaping once she was alone. In the principal's office, the 15-second video had already made its rounds. Mr. Reynolds was stern. This behavior has no place here. You're suspended for a week, and you will write a public apology. Jake didn't argue. The guilt was punishment enough. That night, he couldn't eat, couldn't play games. He just lay there, haunted by the look on Emma's face, disappointed, yet so strong. He had crossed a line. He opened social media. His name was everywhere. The video was viral. He was a monster. His popularity had turned to shame. For the first time, Jake felt what it was like to be on the other side. It hurt. He wanted to apologize, but how could sorry ever be enough? Lying in the dark, he finally understood. Real power isn't about being loud or popular. It's about kindness. It's about doing the right thing. It was a lesson he learned in 10 silent seconds from a quiet girl who showed him what real strength looked like. Bullying is never a joke. It leaves scars, both seen and unseen. If you or someone you know is struggling, please don't stay silent. The week of Jake's suspension felt like the longest week of his life. He'd wake up every morning with this heavy feeling in his chest, the kind that sleep just can't fix. The first day, his phone, which used to buzz constantly with jokes and memes from friends, was just silent. The same guys who followed him everywhere had vanished the second he got into trouble. Some even shared the video of what he did, mocking him behind his back. For the first time, Jake truly understood what it felt like to be alone. His own house, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage. His mother could barely look at him. When she found out what happened, her face went pale with disappointment. Jake, she said quietly, I didn't raise you to hurt people who've done nothing to you. He had no answer. He just stood there, drowning in shame. Every single day, he replayed that moment in his mind. The push, the silence, the look in Emma's eyes. He couldn't escape it, not even in his dreams. He realized it wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice, a cruel one. When he finally went back to school, everything was different. The hallways that once echoed with his popularity were cold and quiet. People looked at him, not with admiration, but with judgment. Whispers followed him. Others just avoided him completely, and he couldn't blame them. He just kept his head down, a strange new feeling of humility replacing his old pride. Then something unexpected happened. His English teacher, Mrs. Patterson, announced a new project. Class, she said with a calm smile, we'll be writing about a personal experience that taught you a lesson on kindness and empathy. Jake's stomach twisted. He knew exactly what he had to write about, but did he have the courage? After class, he stayed behind. Mrs. Patterson, he said softly, Can I talk to Emma? She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. If you're sincere, Jake, she'll know. That afternoon, Jake found Emma at the back of the school, under the old oak tree, reading a book just like before. He took a deep breath and walked closer. Hey, he said quietly. Emma looked up, her eyes cautious. I wanted to say I'm sorry, he stammered. Not just because I got caught, but because I really am. What I did was wrong. You didn't deserve that. Emma watched him, her silence making him nervous. But this time, he didn't run. He just waited. Finally, she closed her book. "I forgive you," she said. Jake was stunned. "Just like that?" She gave a small smile. "Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It just means I don't want to carry hate in my heart. It's heavy, you know?" Her words hit him harder than any punishment. "You're stronger than I'll ever be," he admitted. Emma just shook her head. "No, you just made a mistake. What matters now is what you do after it." That day was the start of a quiet friendship. Jake didn't expect her to trust him, but he worked to make things right. He started helping other students and even gave a public apology at a school assembly. His voice shook, but he didn't hide. "I used to think being feared made me strong," he told the entire school. "But real strength is being kind, even when no one's watching." The room was silent, then applause broke out. It wasn't for the old Jake, but for the one who was trying to change. After, Emma found him. "You did good," she said softly. Jake gave a real, grateful smile. "Thanks for giving me another chance." Emma just shrugged. Everyone deserves one. Jake was never the same after that. He joined the volunteer club with Emma and started tutoring younger kids. Slowly, the nickname bully faded, replaced by something new: respect. Years later, Jake would look back at that single moment and realize how it defined his entire life. He learned that actions have consequences, but forgiveness has power. Emma became a writer, sharing stories of kindness and courage, and whenever someone asked where she got her inspiration, she'd smile and say, "From someone who learned that change is possible, even after a mistake."